And I said, well, if we beat and I went through the rest of our schedule. If we do this, if we do this, if we do this, if so-and-so loses to so-and-so, and this is we're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to be playing you in the playoffs. And I said, we have to go to that game. And he's like, we do. And my husband was like, what's happening? I said, we have to go to that game. I'm like, we need to buy the tickets now. The next day, he sends me a text and he's like, do you have a minute? I was like, yeah. And he calls me and he's like, these tickets are $350 a piece. And I was like, get them.
Whoa.
Get them. Then I text my husband. I was like, Mike just bought the tickets to the playoff game. He's like, how much were they? I'm like, $350. And he was like, that's it? And I go, that's exactly what I thought.
Welcome to Tales from the Tundra, a show that captures one team's history told through the eyes of the fan. My name is Ben, and in today's episode, I am sitting down with Amy. Amy is a big-time Packers fan who resides in Texas. During our conversation, we talk about her hatred of the Cowboys and how it stems from even before she lived in Texas, where she grew up, how she became a Packers fan, and so many more stories. I do want to note that for the next couple of weeks, we are not going to have an episode due to the draft coverage going on in Green Bay. So I'll probably be doing some live content, longer form content on Facebook and YouTube. So be sure to check that out. And then we'll reside again following that. This is episode 8 of Tales from the Tundra with Amy. Enjoy. If you watch the Packers throughout the 90s, there is no doubt you have a hatred for the Cowboys. Amy's no different. Her hatred for the Cowboys is still at its peak, but it's not because of the 90s. Are you from Texas?
I am not. So, no, I am not. And I am just outside of Dallas, probably 35, 40 minutes north of Dallas. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm from Southern California.
Interesting. Okay. So you're born in SoCal?
I'm born in SoCal, lived there my entire life. We moved to Texas 10 years ago. So it was 10 years ago in November.
Okay.
I love it here. But I mean, I don't know that we'll end up here, but right now we're in McKinney, Texas, and surrounded by you know who, which is super. I initially would say it was super hard for me, but it's actually really fun.
Yeah.
Because I can hold my own, so it's super fun.
Well, and really the Cowboys don't have a lot to say. They haven't had success against us in the last decade and a half. So I think that makes it maybe even two.
Nothing makes me happier, honestly, unless the Packers won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right.
Really, nothing makes me happier. When we first moved here, it was November of 2014.
Okay.
So, of course, everybody that we know here is Cowboys fans.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know anybody actually when we moved here, but the first initial sets of friends that we met, of course, were Cowboys fans. And, that was November of 2014. A couple months later was the Des Caught It game. Oh, and they were, well, when I say Des Caught It, that's what they call it.
Yeah, anyways, right.
They were at our house watching the game. That was super fun. I relished in that until the following week.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks. The following week when we played Seattle.
Mm-hmm. That game didn't happen. I heard. I thought they canceled that. We did.
I don't know, but I can't even talk about it. It makes me sick. I had friends that made memes of me. It was traumatic. It was traumatic. I have to tell you, it was traumatic.
That's always the tough part of that.
Well, I was like, you beat your team. Honestly, I was so mad, Ben. I was like, it was really bad. I was like, I don't think that's funny. I don't think it's funny. Take it down right now. I don't think it's funny. I wasn't celebrating too soon. I was excited about my team. I don't think that's funny that you would make fun of me like that. It was really bad.
I believe it. Especially if I remember that game, and not to talk about that game, but I remember
we're definitely not going to talk about the game.
And tweeting during that game, and towards the end, I was like, hey, Julius Peppers, happy birthday. You're going to go to a Super Bowl. And then after it all transpired, I'm just deleting everything and
that's what I mean.
Pretending nothing happened. It's interesting that the playoffs that year, every NFC team that won
paid it forward.
Had a negative thing happen the following
paid it
week.
Forward.
Yeah. So it was just the NFC was just cursed that year. The Cowboys probably shouldn't have beat the Lions, or maybe that weird technicality.
That was the start of it. That was the start of it.
And then the Des, and then
But that
whatever
was not a
happened.
catch. It's still not a catch by today's rules. It's still not a catch. That I do
Yeah.
feel confident in talking about. I say
But
I'm not
but
talking about scheme or anything, but like some rules I feel confident in. That's
even
still
if
I
it
don't
was
think would be a catch.
even if it was, the Packers kneeled out the ball in Dallas's territory.
Plenty of time.
There was so much time left. They drove down like it's nobody's business. I think everyone got lost in that, but it didn't matter in the grand scheme.
Everyone got lost. By everyone, you mean Cowboys fans.
Yes, exactly. Still bringing it up.
So
still
not
bringing it
everyone.
up, a decade
Not
later.
everyone.
So with you being from SoCal, how did you become a Packers fan being in California?
It 100% Brett Favre. Brett Favre, Mike Holmgren. When anybody asks me the story, I've grown up watching football. My brother played football. I was a cheerleader. My dad took me to a UCLA game for my 16th birthday. Football has been in my family. My dad is a huge football fan. He's from Cleveland.
Okay.
So of course
is he a Brownies?
He was a Browns fan. My dad is passed, but he was a Browns fan our entire lives. And when I was growing up, they weren't great. And he wasn't happy about that. And so we had the Chargers, and sometimes we had the Raiders, and sometimes we had the Rams. So we didn't really have a team. And I wasn't a fan of the Chargers at the time, not for any reason, but I wasn't quite as involved, as I am as a fan now. So I wasn't a Chargers fan. So really, when I really started to pay attention, I wasn't really looking to pay that much attention to football. I'm a pretty exuberant person, just my personality wise. And so obviously that's pretty much what drew me to Brett Favre.
Okay.
Is that because when I'm passionate about something, I'm really passionate about it. And that's how it looked, to me. And it was exciting. We all know that was exciting. I don't have to go back and tell anybody that, but it was fun to watch. He looked like he was playing fun. That he was having fun as like the first time that I felt like that. Watching a football game, really, honestly. And then somebody told me about the Packers being the only team that was public owned. And at the time, obviously, this was in the 90s. And this is what's really funny is that I was in Southern California, and even starting then in the 90s really is when my disdain for the Cowboys started. In Southern California, because it was like Leon Lett and Michael Irvin and people getting arrested and still being able to play. And I was like, what owner is anybody else that did that in their job would not have their job. He just wants to win. And then I went, I hate Jerry Jones. And it started there. That's where it started. And so anyways, many, many years later, I moved to Texas, and I'm like, and anybody asks me why I hate the Cowboys so much, I'm like, that's where it started for me. I know a lot of that since then happens still. Players get in trouble and owners still let them play. And I get that. Somebody reminds me of that every time I tell the story. I'm like, I get it, but that's where that started for me. Like that was the first memories I have of something like that. And so anyways, somebody told me about the Packers not having an owner and being the only team that was public owned. And I was like, I don't like owners, because that's how I kind of felt about it at the time. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That's really what happened. And I'm drawn to leadership roles, I think. I kind of figured that out probably about 10 years ago. I'm a manager in my job. So like leadership stuff is, apparently what I'm really drawn to. And so when I think back, I think that's probably what it was for me. Like the leaders of the team were, Mike Holmgren and Brett Favre. I played sports my entire life. I have coaches that stuck out to me and that I still, love for some of the things that they did. So it's always quarterbacks and coaches for me. If I don't like one of the two of those of a team, then I won't root for them.
Sure.
That's just kind of how that goes. So like I said, it didn't dawn on me until probably about 10 years ago or so that it must be a leadership thing that I'm drawn to. So anyways, it was Brett Favre for me.
In your time you've been watching, have the Packers ever had that dynamic of like a coach the quarterbacks have been limited now over the years, or do you kind of had that like green tinted glasses when you're watching the Packers where you're like, okay, I'll let it slide a little bit more now that you're...
No, I will tell you, I was on a little bit of a hiatus. So my fandom has definitely evolved over the years. I was not happy about the Packers not letting Brett come back for the umpteenth time when he
Okay.
like left and came back
2008.
and left and came
Yeah.
back. I was not happy about that. And it dawns on me also that that's probably why women don't make decisions in the NFL.
Well, not only
Not to say that, but like I was a very emotional fan.
You were not one. You're not alone in that. I mean, there's an entire documentary about the divorce
I know I've seen
of
it.
Brett Favre, and you have
I've seen it. I wasn't burning jerseys or anything
No.
like that, but I was like, no. And I didn't care. Like I also, like I said, my fandom has evolved quite a bit over the years, recent years, I would say.
Sure.
I didn't really know. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean, I was upset. I really was upset. And I was like, I'm not rooting for them. I'm rooting for Brett wherever he goes. And then when he retires, then maybe I'll circle back. And, I didn't pay attention to, Aaron Rodgers. I didn't care if he was good initially. I mean, first of all, he was the backup for a little bit. So I didn't really pay attention to that in his first couple of years. So I was that fan. And I have to say, it's really funny because probably in the last 5 years or so, I'm going to probably thank Aaron Nagler for this, but listening to Packers Daily every day for years and years now, I feel like my fandom has changed because of him.
Yeah, I was going to say when you said that, it kind of shocked me because I'm like, Amy's just diehard, in and out, ride or die, but fandom does evolve over the years, and I think it's especially true when like you felt so tied to Brett Favre, right? Like your identity as a Packers fan was tied to Brett Favre, and so many people felt like that. You are by no means alone in that. So many people were on that fence of like, what do I do? Because this is Mr. Packer, and this is my guy.
That was my association with that, for real. Yeah. Like I also was upset when Mike Holmgren left and went to Seattle, and then I rooted for the Seahawks to win that Super Bowl. For one, I didn't like Ben Roethlisberger, and I didn't want the Steelers to win. But I rooted for Mike Holmgren too. Like I followed him as well.
Yeah, and I think after you've had that first divorce, the second one is a little bit easier. Like the Aaron Rodgers divorce felt so different than the Brett Favre one.
I have to say, and this is what I mean when I say my fandom has evolved, and again, directly relating it to listening to podcasts and the content and stuff that I listen to. But a lot of that stuff obviously really resonates with me. And when I think about that, I'm a little obviously more trusting. I'm a lot less emotional in my fandom. And I honestly am like, I'm rooting for the Packers no matter what. I don't care who leaves. If Jordan Love left, I don't care. When Aaron Rodgers left, I don't want to say I didn't care, but I was like, I was ready. I think a lot of people were ready, but I certainly wasn't the person that's like, we shouldn't have let him go. And I still have people now that are like, oh, it's not been the same since Aaron's been gone. I'm like, oh, I'm probably not the person to talk to about that because I was totally fine. And I feel like if I hadn't probably been through it the way I was with how I felt about Brett and go like, okay, like I'm a lot less emotional of a fan. And again, thank you, Packers Daily, for that. Because I probably wouldn't be. Yeah, probably wouldn't be, but I hope that Aaron does well. So, I mean, I'm still a fan, but my fandom isn't tied to Aaron anymore. And it's also not tied to Brett anymore. It's where it started, but I'm not like strictly like, I'm going to root for the Packers no matter who is coaching or playing for the Packers. Period.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you're just basically rooting for a piece of laundry at this point, but I get it. I'm the same way. There's like a good comedian that talks a bit about that. It's just like, you're pretty much just rooting for laundry, no matter who's there, who's playing. If they go 0-17 or 17-0, you're going to just be here rooting for them. So,
well, I feel like you'll have a lot more heartbreak if you're emotional like that. Like last year with Aaron Jones. No, I don't think anybody wanted to see Aaron Jones go, but I'm like, all right, who's next? Like, who's next? Like, I'm still rooting. I'm going to wish for success, whoever that is. I would have liked to seen Aaron Jones stay, but it's business. So that's what I mean. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I have learned and become a lot less emotional. And I have to say, it's a lot less heartbreaking. I mean, not less heartbreaking when they don't, go the distance or whatever. But I mean, those kinds of moves don't probably impact me like they might have many moons ago.
Right. Yeah, no, I get it. As I've gotten older, I just tell myself like, I don't control any of this. I don't have any say on if they win on Sundays, Mondays, whatever.
I feel like I do.
Well, it's what I tell myself, so I'm not like upset the whole week, because
I'm
when
super
I was younger, I
superstitious.
was yeah. I'm with you there. You say that? So what's your game day superstition? Do you have?
Well, and it's
Does it
it's funny.
change every time, or is it
I do.
okay?
What's really funny is that it was Aaron Rodgers jerseys
Okay,
initially. Like it was. And I mean I've never seen the Packers lose. Okay. And I'll tell you how many games I've been to. It's not like 30, but I mean,
right.
I've never seen the Packers lose. And I've
Mhm.
been to plenty of games. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I did one time, and I was not wearing an Aaron Rodgers jersey at this game. So this is probably where I
That's where
tied
it's
it
your
to
fault. Yeah.
every other. So then the next time we went to a game it just became that. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, I have to wear a jersey. And I still, for some reason now, feel like it's got to be a jersey. So it's either my personalized jersey or it's my Jordan Love jersey. I stopped buying as many jerseys, and I'm also going to thank Aaron Nagler for that, because I had the Darius Smith jersey. I'll tell a
Oh
funny
yeah.
story. I've had so many different jerseys. And so anyways, it's typically a jersey. And if halfway through the game, it doesn't feel good, I'll go change my earrings or my jewelry, or be like, I can't wear this jersey. These pants something's got to change. And my husband thinks I'm crazy.
I
And
was just gonna ask what he thinks about it.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I am superstitious that way. But
I
it's
always
not
tell
so
my
much jerseys anymore. I felt like when Aaron was gone, I was like, okay, maybe now I can retire that it doesn't have to be a jersey. And I've got so many Packers clothes that it's just silly at this point. So I'm like, maybe I can start now just wearing clothes and different clothes. If
yeah.
I don't
Just
want to start
switch up
this
the vibes.
superstition thing, because now I'm going to be stuck.
Yeah. I always tell my wife the line from The Office, like, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
A little bit stitious,
Just a
not
little
super
stitious.
duper, not
Yeah.
super duper, just a little bit. Yeah.
So I'm the same way. I use like the same coffee mug every game day, and then like if
Mhm.
we're gone and I don't use it and they lose, then I'm like, oh man. And every year I'm like, I don't need to do this because it doesn't matter. But then every
I
year I
have
find
props.
myself,
I have
yeah,
props. I'm superstitious with my props, and they come with me to games all the time. I have my foam
wow,
finger. Yeah, if you've seen any
yeah, the
pictures of
foam
me,
finger. Hmm.
I've definitely got my foam finger, and it comes with me. And so when I come to games, no matter where it's at, my foam finger comes with me. So that's my offensive prop, because of course it's my first down marker. And my defensive prop is a flag that says like "Get Loud Lambo" or something. It's like the 100 season.
Yep.
I don't even know. I don't know. I don't care. It comes with me when I'm at home and I'm watching games in this room. I'm got both of those things. I have to hold one during offense, one during defense, and I'm like, give me that. It's defense now.
Your husband's got to be giving you a hard time about
So
it.
generous. He just knows at this point. I mean, and he's actually just as much of a Packers fan as I am at this point. He didn't know quite as much about the Packers, before he met me. And of course, what he knew was that they beat us in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, we're not going to talk about that.
Well,
So,
I was just talking with someone a few episodes back, Mark, and I said that if you're in town long enough and you drink the water long enough, I feel like you're going to become a Packers fan. And
I have to.
you've brought your husband to multiple games now, from what I've seen. So
I have to tell you,
yeah,
Ben, the first time that we ever went to a game was in 2016. It was Thursday night game against the Bears.
Is this your first time as well?
That was my first time at Lambeau. Yes.
Okay. Yep. So you guys come to Lambeau together for the first time.
We come to Lambeau, and I'll tell you, I have friends there. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But it was Thursday night game against the Bears, so I already kind of figured we were going to win. And it's the game that I think Devontae almost got decapitated.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't get decapitated, but you know what I mean. It was like, yeah. So that was the first game that we went to, and we weren't home for 24 hours. And he's at work and I'm at work, and he's sending me links to homes on Zillow. And I'm like, we've only lived here for 2 years. We're not moving again. Like, we just did this huge move from California to Texas. I'm like, we're not moving again. And I'm not kidding you. Every time we go, he is like, you ready? Are you ready? And I'm like, nobody in your family is going to believe that this is your idea. Like,
you're right.
Nobody.
Right.
Like, we moved to California away from our families. And now, no, I'm like, nobody's going to believe that this was your idea. And we were just there for the Thanksgiving game. And we came home. Actually, it was like 2 weeks before that. He's sending me, looking at links and sending me homes and whatever. And we've actually met with realtors a couple times.
Fantastic.
While we've been there. So I don't think that I'm ready yet. The weather kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't think that I'm ready just yet. But I'm not opposed to it, I don't think.
The weather is not always the most fun thing to deal with, just because it'll be, we just had a snowstorm on Sunday, and you think you're out of the woods. It's 60 degrees, 65 degrees, sunny. And you're like, oh man, it's time to put the snowblower away, and then you get a blizzard warning the next week, especially in Green Bay because of the bay. You get the lake effect that can really make it even more hit or miss on big snowstorms. So I definitely don't blame you at all, especially being from SoCal, living in Texas. Winters here are just they're not fun. You just got to mutter to yourself and say, at least we don't have spiders or.
And that's where I'm like, we're not hunker downers. Like, this is what I tell people. And that's not even make up my own words, but I'm like, we're not hunker downers. So I'm like, I go to work out every morning. I come home and take the dog for a walk for like 3 miles. I'm like, I'm not ready to not do that for 3 months out of the year, maybe even more. Like,
it's like 6 months.
Sure. Well, see, and that's could be generous, right? Like, yeah. I'm coming next month for the draft, and I'm like, I'm hoping that there's snow for that because I just want that experience. But I'm like, I don't know that doing that every day. So, anyways, I don't know. We may end up there. We may not. But I'm like, if you think that I'm bad now, like, it's probably the last place you want me to move because I work from home now. Well, now I say now, but it's been 5 years. So I mean, after COVID, we just didn't go back to the office. I work from home. So it's really progressed since then. All day, every day. Cause I mean, I'm on a computer, so I'm listening to whatever I can. Andy Herman in the morning, then I'm listening to Wilde and Tausch. And then I just roll into, I'm like, now I know why the kids get sucked into YouTube. I'm like that kid that gets sucked into YouTube because the next one that comes up, I'm just listening and watching and as I'm working. And so it happens that way until, 4:00 and then it's Packers Daily. And then I'm like, oh crap, it's like time to stop working. And anyways.
And you got your like queue up list for the following day of like, I got to do it all over again.
Well, and you don't even have to queue it. It just,
they're just there.
Comes that way. And so
that's the nice part with what they do is how much content they put. I don't even know how they manage that. They have so much stuff they pump out, and to do it daily just blows my mind.
I don't know, but I'm here for it.
It's good. It's good for people who consume it. That's for sure.
I've got ESPN on the TV, and I'll mute that while I'm listening, and then I'll stop this and listen to the TV. And like, I mean, it's definitely
got it all going.
Yeah, it's progressed. It's so funny because I was listening to when you shared the video with Big B the other day. I was like, okay, that's not fair. How am I going to follow up Big B? How am I going to follow that up?
Big B. Well, so yours won't be for a little bit. I don't know who you're following yet.
Good.
So,
okay, put somebody in between us.
Yeah, no.
Big B.
Yeah, I think people who are listening to this now, it's going to be old news, but I think Paul Kaufman is going to be next week, the former tight end from the 80s, Hall of Famer, Packers Hall of Famer. I should say. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be able to get him on, and then if not him, it might be Wes Hodkiewicz. I have him coming on as well.
Okay, so, well, that's another one I listen to.
You'll be in a rotation of those. You might be at the tail end of those, but it'll be a great lineup.
Well, I was like, oh gosh, she's gonna have me follow up Big B. I didn't know if they went in order, and I'm like, don't make me follow up Big B. I don't have a great story like the Make-A-Wish kid.
The Make-A-Wish. I love that everyone just like. Everyone just knows him as that because it like got memed, right? Because McAfee called him the Make-A-Wish kid.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was at that game against the Cowboys that he was talking about. So when he was talking about it yesterday, and this is what's really funny is that I've never met him. I interact, of course, like we all do on social media and stuff. But I saw that morning or the day before. It was the day before when he broke down the huddle and there was a picture of him and Aaron. And of course I'm like liking it and going, that's so awesome, whatever. Anyways, didn't even know at that point that his name was Brandon, I don't think, because I just followed the underage Packers. I think I didn't even know that his name was Brandon, I think at the time. So anyways, the game day, of the game. We took some friends that were Cowboys fans with us because they were like, we want to go to Lambeau, and that's another pretty funny story. But we were walking around. I'm walking them around tailgating. We're walking all over, and he walks by, and I'm like, Big B. And I just screamed it out. I was like, Big B. And he turned around, and I was like, hey. And he like waved at me, and he's got a beanie on and a scarf. Like, I mean, I don't know if he was trying to be incognito.
Probably he's Hollywood.
But he was probably like, who in the heck is screaming at me? And who's that recognized me all wrapped up like this? But anyways, it was pretty awesome.
I saw him in the atrium. I think he was with his mom. I was at a signing. A lot of people in the atrium, and I saw him, and I was like, Big B! I just yelled it really loud. He kind of gave me this casual wave, like he's an old celebrity just getting heckled by a fan or something like that. So
I didn't even really know his story like fully at that point. And then of course, shortly after that, then he's the guy that ratted out, Aaron's thumb, and then it's on, Pat McAfee calling him the Make-A-Wish kid, and whatever. And I'm like, oh, he's the Make-A-Wish kid.
I think he even had that in his bio at one point.
Yeah,
like someone called me the Make-A-Wish kid. Yeah.
Like, don't make me follow up the Make-A-Wish kid. I don't have anything exciting to tell.
Everyone has a great story to share, and that's what's fun about. Hey, it's Ben. I wanted to draw last week's winner for the giveaway. So thank you to all who entered. Thank you to all who took the time to support the show, watch the episode, all that fun stuff. I appreciate you all immensely. Also want to say thank you to Nicolay Law for making these giveaways possible all year long. So without further delay, let's see who wins this week. This feels like a good one. This week we have, if I can get it unstuck, Luke. Thank you, Luke. Congratulations. Let's take a look at what you have won. All right, Luke, you have snagged yourself, always going to be close, just over the line. You snagged yourself a Santana Datsun 8x10. I'll be sure to reach out via email and get your address so I can ship that out. Once again, thanks for everyone who took the time to enter. Thanks to everyone who supports the show in one way or another. I appreciate it all immensely. And once again, thanks, Nicolay Law. Let's get back to our conversation with Amy. Doing these.
Wow.
And from my perspective, it's always so interesting to hear how people became fans and just like random stories. For you being from SoCal, and I don't know where you're at in SoCal, but California is a pretty sizable state, and you live in Texas, which is also a very sizable state. And I say that with some sarcasm because both are massive areas with a lot of population. And to become a fan of the smallest team or the smallest city to have a professional franchise, I always think that's a really interesting thing to learn about, is like why that's happened. And so I don't know, no matter how unique someone's story is or what crazy over the top stories they have, I think everyone always just has such a fun story that I love capturing.
It's really fun to hear my husband talk about it, because like every time, whether we're there or we're here, we come to a game every year, but whether we're there or we're here, he works in Dallas, so he is surrounded by who's. But anyways, he really loves it. But it's so funny because to hear him talk about it, he's so prideful and talking about the charm of the city and how great it is, and there's no stadium like it. And he gets his chest all puffed up, talking to them, and I'm like, this is so cool. I love this. Like, you go. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're slowly turning him from the Broncos fan into a Packers fan. I love it.
Well, when I grew up, my brother, like I said, my brother was a Broncos fan. He chose John Elway, and that I'm sure is probably the same kinds of reasons that I chose Brett Favre. Back then, that's who was fun to watch. And so anyways, my brother is a Broncos fan. And so anyways, when I met my husband, I was like, okay, at least you're not a Patriots fan or a Cowboys fan. That was
those would be deal breakers.
They 100%.
As I was telling my wife, because I was talking to her while making dinner about this episode, and I was like, yeah, her husband's a Broncos fan, big Broncos fan, or at least from like stuff I've seen, right? Like I don't know your husband, but like I see him all decked out in Bronco stuff and what have you. And I was like, I wonder if when they like I wonder if when they get in a little bit of a tiff, if he'll just put on Super Bowl 32 in the background, just knowing that it would eat at Amy, just to have that on as you guys are like kind of having this mental battle.
He's a very generous fan. He does not do that.
Okay.
It is funny though, because the Broncos obviously in most recent years have not been great. And he'll stop watching a game like in the first quarter if they're down 14-0, or he's like, forget it, I'm going to do the yard work or whatever. And I'm like, I don't care if we're down 30-0. Like, I will watch a game until it's over. Don't, razz me during this game, like to anybody, not even just my husband. Like, I'm watching an entire game and I'm really watching the game. But he'll go outside and so they have not been so great recently. And when he tries to complain about it, this is what makes me laugh. He doesn't do this anymore because I'm pretty passionate about this. And I'm also, don't mix words too much, but he is like, oh, we suck at Broncos. We can't do it. And I'm like, you won the Super Bowl in 2015.
Yeah. That wasn't that long ago.
I'm like, you need to.
And they went to another one 2 years prior to that. Even though they lost, they still.
See, he probably knows better than to remind me of the Packers and Broncos Super Bowl game, because I will very quickly remind him of the Broncos Seahawks game. That was literally over. And we host Super Bowl every year. That game, when that safety happened at the very beginning of the game, he was like, that's it, I'm out. And he went out back and started playing cornhole and playing with the kids. And I was like,
wow.
He just started. I can
you
already see how this is going to go. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, wow.
Do you think it's his way of like trying to do like reverse psychology on
100%.
Okay, because I'll do that to my wife sometimes, where I'll be like over the top about stuff. I'll be like fourth down. I'll be like, yeah, the Packers aren't getting the stop. Their defense doesn't, and then they'll get the stop, and just like, yep, that's the reverse psychology.
Twice as exciting.
Yeah, it's the reverse psychology. You got to throw it out in the universe so the universe can prove you wrong from time to time. So I get it.
I've literally gone outside at halftime before going, you guys are up 17-14 now, when they were down 14. And he's like, what? And I'm like, that's why you don't stop watching your damn game.
Nope. See, it works.
I'm like this, unless you think that you're the bad luck charm. Then
his strategy's working.
Yeah.
I love it. So you guys come to Green Bay for the first time in 2016. What was your thought as you're kind of coming into the city for the first time, or seeing it? Because.
Well, it wasn't, it was definitely surprising. I will say I have been to a baseball game at Giant Stadium, which is right smack in the middle of San Francisco. I've been to the old Yankee Stadium, obviously not the same, but so it didn't really surprise me that it looked like that, because I'd kind of heard that it was right in the middle of neighborhood. I also have one of my very best girlfriends. She's from Sparta. Okay. She's older, and she, honestly, I can say I met her working with her back in the 90s. And so that she also has a lot to do with me being a Packers fan. Her godson, who is also her cousin, who lives right across the street on Ridge. So she lives in Chicago now with her daughter. And so she wanted to come to a game. She wanted to come for my first game. Her cousin's right across the street. And so anyways, that's our first time meeting him. He lives by himself, and so he doesn't have company a whole lot. So now it's turned into where like he looks forward to it every year, because he's got us for company. And he's literally right across the street. He's right across from like Thorndale. Like, he's on Ridge right across from Thorndale.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool. We've got it pretty good.
Yeah.
So that was actually really surprising to me, when I was like, oh, hey, like he's literally right here. Like, we could just walk right across the street. And so we love that. I will say the day of the game, it was a night game. And so everybody already outside popping at 9 a.m. really was my jam. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to absorb every bit of this. And then I was like, I'm nervous. I don't want to drink too much, because the game's at 7. If I don't pace myself, I won't remember this game. And then I'm going to be really upset. So I've learned how to like temper my time there with, drinking, because I get sucked right into that. Like, I want to do all of that. And so now we always come, depending on what game we've come to, and we've been to a Monday night game. Well, I'll tell you, like, some pretty epic games that I've been to was a Monday night game against the 49ers. And it was Monday night, and it was October 10th. I think it was October 10th. We went with some friends. We brought some friends that were 49ers fans, and it was his 40th birthday, and he shares a birthday with Brett Favre. So I know his birthday was October 10th, but I don't remember if the game was October 10th, but it was right around there.
Was
it was the Monday night game. And Mason,
okay.
It was
Mason Crosby?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I can't tell you how many games I've been to. I had a shirt made that's Mason Crosby. It has a $sign. It says clutch. And like, I've been to several games that ended that way. So that was probably, that was a big memory. That was a big memory for me. My favorite game. I'm only telling you because I heard you ask Big B that. So if you don't want to know, then
you're making my job easy. I can just sit here and listen. That was going to be my next question.
You got somebody that likes to talk. So my favorite game was the Packers Cowboys playoff game it was 2016 season, but it was January of 2017. It was Dak's first year.
Yes, because that was the one in Dallas, correct?
That's the Jared Cook game.
Jared Cook, yes, yeah, of course.
Well, first it was Jared Cook, and then it was Mason Crosby, like whatever it was. But in December, so again, I work with lots of Cowboys fans. So in December, probably mid-December, the Cowboys won whatever game it was. I don't care because I don't care. But they won a game, and like you hear, they've clinched the division, and they've got first week bye and home field and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my gosh, my friend that's a Cowboys fan, him and his wife were here. And I was like, you know what that means? And he's like, what? And I said, well, if we beat and I went through the rest of our schedule. If we do this, if we do this, if we do this, if so-and-so loses to so-and-so, and this is we're going to be in the playoffs. We're going to be playing you in the playoffs. And he was like, oh, I mean, first of all, he's looking at me like, you are nuts. Like, what just happened here? And I said, we have to go to that game. And he's like, we do. And my husband was like, what's happening? I said, we have to go to that game. I'm like, we need to buy the tickets now. Because if we get closer to that, can you imagine how much they're going to be? And he goes, yeah. And if they don't, you got plenty of people you can sell them to. And I'm like, shh. I'm like, what are you doing? What is wrong with you? Don't even put that out there. I'm like, that's not going to happen. First of all, I'm not really worried about it. The next day, he sends me a text and he's like, do you have a minute? I was like, yeah. And he calls me and he's like, these tickets are $350 a piece. And I was like, get them.
Whoa.
Get them. First of all, that's just about the cheapest. I mean, that's what it costs to go to a Cowboys game in the nosebleeds. That's up in section like 300 and 400 up at the very top.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't really care as long as I'm at that game. Like, I don't even care. And I was like, $350. And I was like, get them. Then I text my husband. I was like, Mike just bought the tickets to the playoff game. He's like, how much were they? I'm like, $350. And he was like, that's it. And I go, that's exactly what I thought. Every single week, Ben. So this is probably, for one, that game was so exciting. But every single week leading up to it, like the anticipation of every game. And I pay attention and I watch like all games. I pay attention to games that are, when I say all games, I mean games that are going to impact us.
Right.
Sundays, people know, don't call me. I'm not available. I'm not. And I'm watching all games. I like the sound of football. Like I just want to listen to it. Like right now I watch reruns of games. I'll send text messages to my husband. I'm like, I just did this last weekend. I'm like, the Packers are beating the Lions today. And he was like, sends back the eye roll emojis. But anyways, the anticipation of that every single week, everything that I needed to happen kept happening over the course of 4 weeks, whatever it was. And then it happened. And I was like, here we are. It was the day we went to the game. Obviously, we go to the game. And I always said that if the Packers were in the Super Bowl, this has kind of been the rule. My husband knows this. Like, I don't care. I don't care where it's at. I don't care how much it is. We're going. And he's like, I'm like, that's just kind of been the rule.
Yeah.
After that game, I was like, you're off the hook because that was too much for me. Like, there's no way I could go to a Super Bowl if the Packers were in it.
Just too much stress and anxiety the entire game?
I mean, I cried. I might have wet my pants a little. I lost my voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I lose my voice every Packers game. I always joke that the day after is always my husband's favorite day of the year because I can't talk. But I mean, it was so overwhelming. It was so overwhelming for me. I have videos of me like crying and screaming. Like it was just beyond. And I think, like I said, the anticipation of leading up to that, like it was beyond, I think, what I even thought. And then I was like, there is no way that I'm going to a playoff game again or a Super Bowl game because that was too much for me. So that was my favorite game, probably because of how it felt. But I have kind of felt like that in a different way for a lot of the games I've been to. Like the game that we took our friends that were Cowboys fans in 2022.
Was that 22?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The Big B's game.
Yeah. The Big B game. Yeah.
It's the Big B's game. Make-A-Wish Kids game.
Yeah.
Our friends in April, right before the schedule came out, we knew the opponents, right? But we didn't know when that game would be. And they said, well, if you go to that game, like we would love to go. They're diehard Cowboys fans. They're like, we would love to go with you. And we're like, we would love to show you, which was super fun. They were like, we want to go on the tour and all that business. And we're like, okay. So we waited and the schedule came out. We found out when the game was. And I'm like, I'm going to have to find out from Chris, my friend, because he hosts the Milwaukee Gold ticket holders. So I'm like, it's going to depend on what weeks that is. And we don't come on those because he hosts those people. And so I didn't mean to say those people. Sorry, but those people.
I mean, that's
If
fair.
the shoe fits,
That's fair
right? If
for
the
Gold
shoe
Package.
fits, yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
even
I'm not going to
close
call
that
them
up.
those people because they actually go to the games.
That's
so
true.
I
But
should.
do they stand up from time to time and yell? Because that's
They
the other
better.
issue. That's the other
They
issue
better.
with Gold Package is they
better.
yell at you to sit down and be quiet. And anyway, yeah.
I mean, I try to be mindful of whoever's behind me, but I got to tell you, you're not. You probably don't want to sit behind me.
You're signing up to be at a sporting.
You probably
event.
don't want to sit behind me. But that game, so that was 2022. That season, I mean, the Cowboys were doing great. Nobody thought we were going to win that game. We didn't really even think we were going to win that game.
It was a tough one.
Well, and you know, it's so funny. I love to tell this story, especially because it's going to be recorded and get out to the universe. I know maybe my friends will see it. I will send them the link so that they can watch it. They're not bad shit talking Cowboys fans. They might be if they were winning more, maybe. I don't know, but some of them are terrible here. I mean, terrible. But anyways, so we get there on Friday. We do the stadium tour. We've already done it before, but they were like, this is the coolest. This is, and I'm like, it sure is. Like, don't get this in Dallas. We were like, just, joking a little bit like that. But when you get to the part on the tour where they make everybody on the count of 3 say, go Pack, go, to listen to the
echo.
Yeah. So they're like behind me. And so I was like, to my husband, I'm like, tapping his leg. And so they're like, everybody on the count of 3, say, go Pack, go. And they're like, 1, 2, 3, go Pack, go. I turned around and I was like, did you guys just say go Pack, go? And they were like, that's so cool. I said, you would not catch me.
No chance.
First of all, on a tour of AT&T. Second of all, you would never catch me. I don't care if it echoed, ricocheted, whatever. And I told them, I said, ooh, that is bad juju.
Yeah.
Bad juju. And they were like, no, we didn't. Do it again. We didn't say that. We didn't. And I was like, I heard you. You said it.
It's out there.
So I have to tell you, this was really funny. The next day we went to Stadium View. Usually on Saturday, we go watch college football at Stadium View, like everybody else. You were there. And I don't know, you might remember this now, but like I sent you a message and was like, I saw you, but I didn't want to say hi to you. We were there that next day, and my friend has some drinks. She's wearing her Cowboys stuff, meeting all these Packers fans. There was this entire group, you might remember, from Europe. I mean, they were from all over in Europe. There was some from London and Ireland, I mean, everywhere. And they were there that day. And so we were talking to them, and they were like, this is the coolest experience. This is the best weekend ever. I'm like, it sure is. And my friend had some drinks, and she was like, I want to come back every year. And I said, well, your team's not going to be playing here every year. I don't care. I'm going to come with you anyways. I'll even wear green and gold. And her husband was like, and I said,
I'm telling you, there's something in the water here.
I told her, I go, oh, you guys, you're going down. You're going down tomorrow. I'm like, oh. And they were like, and he was like, stop it. Just quit it, Betsy. Like, it was so funny. Then the day of the game, I'm walking them around up and down, all the streets and Lombardi and, whatever. Anyways, she buys a cheesehead for her son because she was like, he's a big sports fan and, he's going to want to have one of these. And she puts it on. I take a picture of her and I sent it to her husband because he was back with my husband. And I was like,
it's a wrap.
Call it a day. Call it a day. You're going down. And we were not doing well in that game. And they were like, go Cowboys. And I was like this, you might not want to be too celebratory too soon. That's what I say to everybody. That's what I say. It's my go-to. That's my go-to. I plenty of ball game left. I can steal that as well. But my go-to. But my go-to is you might not want to be too celebratory too quick.
Yeah.
Anyways, we know how that game turned out, and I have the
that was Watson's welcome to the NFL game.
It was amazing. I have Mason Crosby like screaming, and I'm screaming in videos about Mason Crosby. I'm like Christian Watson, 1, 2, 3, like all these videos, and I have pictures of them, and they're like, and I was all, you blew it. Like you don't got nobody to blame but yourself. You blew it. Oh, it's so funny. So that is also.
Hey, it's Ben again. I wanted to jump in and give you this week's phrase of the week for the Nicolay Law giveaway. Once again, if you are new here, in order to enter for this giveaway, you can find the giveaway link in either the show notes or the comments of wherever you're watching. Click that link, fill out that form, and it's going to ask you for a phrase of the week. This week's phrase is Beard 30. You can kind of see it in my backdrop here. Beard 30. It's one of their slogans. It's Beer 30. Kind of like it's Beer 30, right? You hear that if you're in the corporate world, you've probably heard that. Almost Beer 30. But this week is Beard 30. I do want to say thank you to Nicolay Law for making these giveaways possible. If you are injured, get Nicolay. So head over, fill out that form, and you might win. Good luck. Is that your favorite game you've seen at Lambeau then?
Maybe.
It was
quality,
a great game.
As far as quality of game, probably yes. Like I really loved the ending of that 49ers game, but like 49ers had a backup quarterback. I don't even remember if it was CJ Beathard. I don't remember who it was, but it was
I'm pretty sure I was at that game as well, the 49ers game. And
I don't remember. I don't even know who their starter was at the time. I don't know because I don't care. I don't like 49ers either.
Yeah, was that Jimmy Garoppolo at that point? And then they had someone else.
I don't think so. It was 2018. I don't even think it was.
Was it 2018? Yeah, because was it the 100th season?
It was 2018.
I don't know. I have a friend, Chris.
I don't remember, but whoever it was injured.
It blurs all the games. After a while, it kind of feels like it all kind of blurs together as far as years and stuff.
But I think that Cowboys game, I think that was the best quality of game. Yeah. I've been to 2 other Cowboys Packers games in Dallas where we've won also. Like the Devontae Adams in the corner that when Aaron threw it to him and he missed it and then he threw it again to the same play again. And
wow.
I was at that game too. So I was telling my friends all weekend when they were talking their, I was like, you guys, I've never seen the Packers lose to the Cowboys. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah. What other game do you see in Dallas? I'm trying to think. Was that?
I saw the playoff game and the next 2 games, the next 2 times that Packers, Aaron Jones scoring 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Game.
Okay. Yep.
That game, and then the one of Devontae.
The Devontae
at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
it's pretty wild. You've seen a lot of Packers Cowboys. I mean, it helps being in the vicinity of Dallas. But to also see them in Lambeau and have the game that they had at Lambeau Field.
Well, and that's what I say. Like at the end of, I had shared when the talk was that Aaron was going to the Jets or whatever. I had shared, my thoughts on it were, if it is that, I'm ready for Jordan Love and I'm going to root for the Packers, whoever is quarterbacking. But I have seen some of the most very epic Aaron Rodgers plays like live.
Yeah,
I have. And so I'm like, I'm content. I'm content for him to move on. My heart is full. I am ready. So that's probably also, kind of where that came from. But I've seen some pretty epic games live. It's funny because we were just there for Thanksgiving and saw the game, against the Dolphins. And I was like, I'm just putting it out there. I'm undefeated. I'm 7-0 at games at Lambeau.
What game did you see that they lost?
Denver, in Denver.
Mm,
I'm blaming it on Denver. We're never going back there to watch a game again.
that's what is that? Lucifer at the airport? I'm just blaming it on Lucifer.
Well, first of all, that year both teams were 7-0 going into that game.
Oh, is this the year they won
2015.
the Super Bowl? The 15?
Yeah.
And the Packers look shell shocked. The defense
It was, I'm telling you, I remember, like, I mean, I felt like my husband did with the Broncos in the Super Bowl, like right when the safety happened for him, like we like turned over the ball. I mean,
yeah,
it
that
felt
game
like
was,
that's all we were doing. Felt like that's all we were doing. And I was like,
that was the game I knew that at that game I said Denver's winning the Super Bowl this year. Their defense was, I said, barring any crazy injuries, Denver's winning the Super Bowl this year because their defense was just insane that year. And Peyton Manning didn't even have to do anything. And they won. I mean, his stats in the Super Bowl were horrible. They still just dominated.
yeah, that's the only loss I've seen. So
I wouldn't even put that on you. That was just a
we did. So the next time, we play like every 4 years. So the next time that the two of them played was in Lambeau. We went to that game in 2019. It was on my actual birthday.
I think I was at that one with
Drew. It rained.
Yes,
it rained, and it was it rained, and it was the throwback, the blue and gold throwback.
It rained the entire time, and it was on your birthday. That's a great way to spend
it was my birthday. I got to wake up there on my birthday, and I mean, I didn't even care. And I hoped that we would win, and we did.
As we're talking about the Dallas thing, the other one I wanted to ask you about is not this past season now because the season's over, but the playoff game with the Packers and Jordan Love's first playoff game. How was that for you being in that area? Because
I'm so
every time.
How did I forget that? Oh my gosh, how did I forget that? So that game, that was amazing. It was amazing. But
every time they're like underdogs, right? They go in, they're such underdogs.
It was so good. It was so good. This is so great. That game. So when we found out that we were going to be playing Dallas, I mean, obviously nobody thought we were going to win either. And to be honest, like, not that I didn't think we were going to win, but I was really interested in watching to see how we would play in that game. And so everybody's asking me, everybody from here, everybody from everywhere, everybody's asking me, like, are you going to the game? You're going to that game, right? And I was like, nope. I went to the pep rally the night before at this, they had the Packers pep rally here. And so I'm like, I'm going to the pep rally, but I'm not going to that game. And everybody's like, I can't even believe that. Why are you? And I'm like, first of all, Cowboys fans are terrible to opposing fans in their stadium. I don't know if you know that, but people talk about the Eagles fans. I mean, I'd hate to be like, they're like that because I've never been to an Eagles game. I don't know, but they are not. I've had men try to talk crap to me where I'm like, then I get to school them and they're like, oh, damn, I didn't know you knew all that. I'm like, yeah, you guys just lost a game last week in the fourth quarter to the Rams. You might not want to celebrate too soon here. So that was the Devontae Adams I was like, I got to go find that guy. So anyways, everybody is asking me, like, are you going to go to that game? You guys are going, right? And I said, no, I'm not. For one, it's too much money. I'm not spending that to go and be heckled the whole time. If this game goes the way I think it's going to go, it's not going to be fun for me. And I don't want to spend that to go and listen to that. And I don't want to be in the nosebleeds where I'm going to be watching it on the screen anyways. And I want to really watch and see how we play. I want to see how this young team actually plays. And if I'm at home, and so my husband was like, oh, well, do you want to invite so-and-so over? These are some friends of ours that are Cowboys fans. And I said, no, I don't. And he was like, oh, okay. And I said, he's one of the biggest shit talkers that I know.
Yeah.
And they have a kid who also likes to run his mouth too. And I'm like, I don't want anybody here that's going to be doing that to me. Like, this is very serious. I want to watch the game. I want to watch the game in peace. And so we watched it at home. We did have some other friends that are Cowboys fans that are super fantastic and great. They're not from here. They root for Dallas because they live here. You know, they don't really have a team. And so they were amazing. Watching the game with them was amazing. That game was amazing. After the game was over, I was like, I have a saber that somebody bought me that I opened champagne with. I was like, and I was all, I can't wait to gloat about this. I just can't wait. Like, people stop me in the grocery stores. This is what's funny is that I pretty much wear Packers stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Off season, like whenever I do. My license plate says Packer fan, like not the license plate frame, but when I got that license plate, it says PCKRFAN. And it's green. Like you can get colored custom plates. So it's like, it's green. When I got that years ago, my husband's like, you're probably going to get your car key here. I was like, price you got to pay. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Fine with me. I can't tell you how many people will be honking at me. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm not even going. And I'll drive up next to me. I had somebody one time hold up a Packer shirt. It was like, go Pack, go. And I was like, this is amazing. I get people that do that to me all the time, which is so great.
It.
So great. But like in the winter, I mean, even when it's not like right now, I mean, every beanie that I own is a Packers beanie. Every hat that I own is a Packers hat. So like I'm always wearing, something. And people used to. It's been so great this last year how quiet they are. But they used to be super, super chirpy. And they're not anymore. So anyways, not that this is a Cowboys, talking podcast, but I don't have any problem sharing my disdain for the Cowboys. I've said it.
Yeah.
I almost loathe the Cowboys as much as I love the Packers. That's a lot. So if that tells you anything.
I think when you're around it too, it makes it so much worse. Because I grew up initially on the other side of the state, which was around a lot of Vikings fans.
Oh gosh.
And it amplified my hatred for that team so much. My brother's a Vikings fan, my dad's a Vikings fan. So I grew up around Vikings fans, and it made me I still hate the Vikings. Like they're the worst franchise in my eyes.
You should.
Yeah, so I think being around Cowboys fans, you already had a disdain for them before. So I think being around them even more just amplifies that because you're surrounded by all the idiots that come with a fan base.
And I didn't know, I didn't know they were that bad. Like I really didn't. But when we got here is when they started to get good again.
Sure.
So they got a little bit confident. And that's another thing that I've learned throughout my fandom is that, I mean, I'm pretty sure that game in Seattle was probably what did it for me, but like I've learned that anything can happen, and like when you're good, you never know. Like you never know, and not to be like, oh, on any given Sunday, because I mean I understand where that came from because and so I just I'm not a shit talking fan. I will very diplomatically remind or school you on, my knowledge of the game and things that happen and what could happen. And I just had that this year. I have a friend that's a Lions fan.
Ouch.
And
what were they a Lions fan prior to 2 years ago? Or
he's been a Lions fan his entire life.
Okay.
And so I'm like this, hey, I appreciate anyone's loyalty, like especially like Raiders fans, or I mean, like people that have rooted for teams, Browns fans. Like, I mean, I can appreciate anybody's loyalty that's not like team hopping. Like, so I can understand that. But he started to get a little big for his britches. And like, especially to me, like I'm not that kind of fan. I don't do that to anybody else when we're doing good. I don't do that. I just don't. And that's the girl in me. Like, it's not nice. Like, that's where I'm like, it's not nice. Don't, and that sounds silly too, but I'm like, it's not nice. Like, I appreciate your fandom. But I had, I don't know if you know Britt Curtis. Anyways, she is the one that hosts the Liberty. Shout out to Britt, the tailgates. Okay. Anyway, she lives in Green Bay, but she was here for business the week that we were playing the Lions for the second time.
Okay.
So she was like, I'm going to be in town and we're going to watch this game at Cosm. And I don't know if you've heard of Cosm, but it's like an indoor venue where I'll have to send you some pictures. Like it literally is like you're inside the stadium. I don't know if you've seen these places.
Is that the thing? It's like it's the theater and it's like the dome screen and you're like right in the end zone.
Oh my gosh.
It looks wild from what
you don't even know. Like it was the coolest thing ever. And that game was great. I mean, unfortunately we did not win. It wasn't as great as I thought it was, but like when Tucker Craft, like it's really cool because they changed the view to where when one of the teams is in the red zone, you're in the end, like you're the end zone.
Yeah, it looks wild from
and like that Tucker Craft when he got that crazy touchdown. I was like it was like right in front of us. Like you feel like you're right there. Anyways, that game was super cool. But I get up the next morning and I, get into my social medias and checking stuff, whatever. And I have a message from my friend that's a
Oh,
Lions
geez.
fan. And it wasn't very kind. And I was like, I don't know why you're talking like this to me. Maybe you're talking to the wrong person, but like I didn't say a word to you. I
Yeah.
have been super kind. Your team is good. There is still plenty of season left.
That's just
You
it.
might want to be careful talking the way you. And he was like, and he responded back, like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I had too many drinks. It is so fun talking football with you." I'm like, well, don't talk football to me like that.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that. Like, I don't like that. And I would not wish for your team not to do well, but this is December 3rd or whatever the heck it was. And I was like,
There's a
you
lot.
know,
Yeah.
and it took everything I had not to message him the day after the Commanders game.
Yeah.
But I'm not that kind of person. I mean, I really wanted to drop a,
but
but I didn't. I didn't because I don't do that because I don't like it. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I don't like the way it feels. Like I said, that's just, I'm not that kind of a fan. I really wanted to, but I'm like, he's got to be devastated. And I know how that feels. And I am not right. Like when that happens to us, I'm not right for a while.
Yeah, those are the painful ones that stick around with you as a fan. You know, with their team losing in the NFC Championship game that they probably should have won the following or the previous season.
2 years in a row
of having painful ones. Yeah. And that's what I've always said why I don't trash talk, because ultimately the odds of you coming out looking okay on it is so small.
I told him, I'm like, when you win the Super Bowl, come back and chirp at me and I will celebrate with you because my God, if anybody else in our division is going to win, I don't think anybody would have been surprised that it was the Lions. I'm like, after you do win, you do that. You do that, but don't do that. Don't do that yet. Like
it's a weird dynamic to do it when it's not even playoffs yet, and anything can happen in the NFL. Injuries happen, weird plays happen.
It's exactly what I told him. And they had already lost Aiden Hutchinson. Like they had already lost Aiden Hutchinson. And he was like, it was really funny is what he was all chirpy when they signed Zadarius Smith. I'm like, whatever. So anyways, I was like, there are plenty of injury. And they, of course, over the course of the next, I don't know how many weeks, I mean, they're just depleted. They're losing one guy, two guys. Like, I mean, they're just dropping like flies. And I was like, oh, he's super quiet. Super quiet over there. Like, I don't know.
It was weird. It was weird to me how like from the franchise perspective, they're like, oh, you know, Aiden Hutchinson could be back for the Super Bowl and this could be for the Super Bowl. And you're like, why are we talking? Why as a franchise are you just talking about the Super Bowl so often?
Oh,
like, you have a stretch to get there.
A lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to happen.
And I don't think they make it past Philly. Philly looks so dominant in defense.
I didn't think that they would. I didn't think that they would make it past Philly. And that's exactly what I said to him. I said, I mean, that's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough game. And if it turns out where we advance and you have to play us again, that's also going to be a tough game for you. So watch yourself.
Anything
and he was like,
happen.
I'm so sorry. I had too much to drink. I'm like, I could tell. I could tell you did.
As Packers fans, we know that anything can happen. We've unfortunately experienced it far too often.
We've seen it in Seattle. I was like, come on. Like, you can't. Yeah, that was. So anyways, that was super funny.
Well, Seattle and in 2011, we with the Giants and, you know, all of the NFC Championship game in 2020. Now the Bucs beat us earlier in that year. So that was not as big of a surprise.
I was in Green Bay for that game.
Oh my.
That's another one where I went. So obviously it was COVID and you couldn't go to the game.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks before that, so before we even beat Seattle to go on and play the Rams, right? We beat Seattle the week before that.
I think Seattle was 2019.
Who did we beat before? So that
2020 we had a bye, so we beat the Rams.
Got you.
We had a bye week, beat the Rams, and then I think it was Buccaneers in Green Bay.
Whoever we played before the bye week.
Okay.
Nope, we had the bye. Never mind. It was the week of the Rams. Anyways, it was the week of the Rams. So that's what it was. I texted my friend that lives across the street, my friend Chris. I'm gonna tell you, his name's Chris. So I text Chris and I said, I know we can't go to the game, and he parks cars, so he doesn't usually go to the game with us anyways. But I'm like, would you like company for the Rams game? Like, I'll fly up there and watch it with you at home just to be. And he said, I tell you what, when we beat the Rams, you come up here and watch the Bucs game with me. And I was like, or the NFC Championship. We didn't know. I don't think it was the Bucs at the time.
Yeah.
But he was like, when we beat the Rams, you come up and watch. So the following week, of course, we beat the Rams. I text him immediately. I'm like, flight's booked. I'll be there on Saturday. And I went by myself. It was amazing. It snowed like crazy. I woke up and there was like 6 inches, or I don't know. It was a lot. It was a lot. There's a lot of snow. And people were outside, but we got to hear the national anthem. We got to hear the fireworks that happened, obviously because of the delay on TV. That was heartbreaking too. That
was
honestly, I was not well coming home. My husband was texting me and he was like, first of all, I was like, get freaking Kevin King out of the game. And my husband's texting me and he was like, they should get Kevin King out of the game. I'm like, I just said that. I was like, stop it.
That's just another one where it feels like so many things just went wrong. The Aaron
like,
Jones fumble.
Don't tell me this. Don't even tell me this. And then, of course, the game progresses. And then he texts me and he's like, why didn't they go for it on 4th down? I'm like, I don't want your play-by-play right now. I don't want to be an asshole, but stop texting me.
That makes it even worse when people are texting you, because I'll get that too. Or if I'm like at a family event and the Packers are playing, which I don't like to be around a lot of other people when the Packers are playing.
I don't either.
But when you're a big fan, people who maybe don't watch it as much are asking you stuff, and that irritates you even more. You're like, I don't want to be here talking to you about this. It's like, so why aren't they doing well? I don't want to talk to you. Just stop talking.
So funny that you say that. Or like, what's the flag for? Or what is it? And I'm like,
yeah, I watch games like exclusively with my wife, unless we're at the game. Like, I don't want to watch with other people.
Yep.
I don't want to deal with how other people fan, because everyone fans a bit different. And so I get when you're saying that you don't want your Dallas friends coming over for that game, because I get it. It would drive me nuts. I wouldn't be able to watch game with the opposing team, especially for a playoff game.
I gotta tell you though, at the end of the first quarter, I was like, damn it, we should have gone to this game.
I believe it. I believe it.
And immediately we have text messages from Dallas friends that are like, wow, good game. I mean, we didn't see this coming. I'm like, yeah, you had to get in front of that, didn't you? You had to jump in front of that before I started sending the texts to
you. Without keeping you too long, I feel like we could probably do like a 3-hour podcast, and I love it. You're making my job easy, Amy.
I could.
I'm gonna ask some burning hot questions. You might have heard some of them when we're talking to Big B, so hopefully you're not super prepared, but I'm going to throw a little bit more curveballs at you on it. So first one, if you could sit down and have a conversation, any person associated with the Green Bay Packers, alive or dead, I'm going to exclude Brett Favre, Vince Lombardi, and Mike Holmgren. Who would you choose and why?
Oh, don't do that. I was going to say Vince Lombardi. That's just the leader.
That's why I have to exclude him.
Just
because everyone was saying.
That's a tough one. Right now, this is a funny story too. I'll tell you what I did about I would probably right now say Tucker Kraft. I wouldn't even go back. Yeah, if it was somebody from back then, or I may say like Reggie White or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Like, I feel like more recent. Like, I want to. Well, probably just because I want to hang out with Tucker Kraft.
I think that's a valid thing. He could probably crush a beer or 6 with you.
I don't know. You took away all the ones that I really would.
See, that's why I got to do it, because otherwise I got Vince Lombardi constantly when I would ask this question, because I did 50 episodes of a show similar years and years ago, and I got Vince Lombardi like constantly on it. So I was like, I got to stop asking or allowing people to say Vince Lombardi.
Yeah, that did catch me off guard, because
good.
Obviously, you know what I would have said, but today, right now, I would say Tucker Kraft, because if I could sit down with Tucker Kraft, we'd probably be having beers and just talking about football, and that I would love.
I love it. If you could watch any game again for the first time, having the same emotions or feelings as you did for the first time you watched it, excluding a Super Bowl or championship, what game are you going to choose and why?
Not a championship, but it could be a playoff game.
Sure. Yeah. So if you wanted to choose the he went to Jared game, I think that, or if another one,
I would pick the last year's game against Dallas before I would pick that game.
Interesting.
First of all, okay. I watch that game every time it's on. The Jared game. I watch it. Well, first of all, I feel like I watch most games. Like the other night or last week when I text my husband, was like, "Oh, look, the Packers are going to beat Detroit today," and that was the Hail Mary game.
Okay.
So that was a great game, but the whole game wasn't that.
The whole game was terrible.
Fantastic. So that wasn't great, other than to the last second of it. I feel like maybe the game last year.
I think that's fair. I mean, the expectations were relatively tempered going into that game, and to have that performance.
Yeah, it was like unexpected. And I feel like probably because there's probably a little bit of recency bias, right? And it was very exciting for it to look the way that it did. And now, like, listening to all the content and stuff that I listen to, like the optics of it, obviously, and not necessarily, scheme and all that business, but just the way games look. Like, I'm really big, obviously, on that. So I'd probably say that I would go back and watch again.
That's perfect.
I would want to go back and watch
free. It was just enjoyable.
Well, knowing that, because I was, I really honestly get myself in a way before a game and after a game. And that's something that I don't know that I expected to feel years ago. Right. I mean, like I said, that's what I mean. Like, my fandom has definitely progressed, and it's really gone down a rabbit hole since I've worked from home. And I don't do so for not to talk about my job, but I feel like I've always been around sports. I played sports from a very young age. I played soccer. I played softball. My brother played sports. Like, we've been a sports family. I've watched sports with my dad my whole life, and my brother. And I feel like if I would have known then, like what I know now, I probably would have gone to school for like journalism or something. But I'm like, I can't really start that at 52. And back then I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, for one, like I said, this has progressed over the years, but there weren't a lot of women in like sportscasting and stuff. But like now knowing, I'm like, oh my gosh, if somebody paid me money to talk about it all day, every day, because I'm pretty knowledgeable of players and other teams and stuff too. Like, this is where people really get like, wow.
Well, hey, you could just start pumping it out on YouTube like Herman did to start out with the pack a day and have it flourish into a career before you know it.
I don't know. I think about that when I watch, because I of course watch, Perry and Maggie also. And I'm like, it's super cool. That's super cool. I wouldn't even know how to start something like that. But I really just appreciate not having to do it right for a job, and just talking about it with people that don't expect me to talk about it, that's kind of fun, and it's kind of surprising for people. So anyways, I just love it. I love it.
I will say since I've been doing this now for a while, I do miss at times being able to just enjoy a game by myself and not deal with like reactions I see on my social media constantly, like, because that can get really under my skin too. So I think there is something beautiful about just being able to fan how you want to fan and enjoy it without dealing with all the other background noise that's amplified because it's just posted on your stuff. So
I don't know if I would. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if I would like that, because I mean, I try really hard, and it's funny because I really want to, and I do, like, I'll put in an earbud, like just one, and watch the Aaron's live stream on game day, the watch parties, and I'll have like one earbud in and then watch the game on another. And my husband is like, why are you looking at your phone? I'm like, I'm just listening to this stuff. Or I'll do it like in between plays where I'll put it back in and like listen. And that even feels like a lot to me. So like, I couldn't imagine having to critique and respond to stuff like live. And I don't have Twitter. I don't want, I just like to look at what I like to look at. I don't want to.
Yep. Smart.
And if somebody posts something on Twitter, it's going to make its way over to,
right. Eventually it'll get where you're at for
anyways.
sure.
And so, I don't know. I don't know if I would, like that. I'm not sure. Well, that's why I was like, when you reached out to me last week, I was like, ooh, I don't know if you know what you've gotten yourself into. I could sit and talk about this.
You're making my job easy though. I like that. It's definitely it's been fun. Next one here. If you could attend any game in the history of the Green Bay Packers, and I'm taking away championships again, so no Ice Bowl, Super Bowls, anything like that. If you could attend any game, which game are you going to choose to attend? History of the Packers.
You're picking really good ones. Not playoffs. Like, I mean, I really
You can choose a playoff. I just take championship.
enjoyed the playoff game against the Giants when they all had the yacht experience before that, and Randall Cobb caught the Hail
The
Mary.
Hail Mary, the
Yeah,
16.
because Odell's like running around without his shirt on,
Yep.
thinking he's all tough, and then we like smacked them too. That was
Well, they
cool.
dropped everything that game. They
it was
could
so
not
good.
get a
That was
single
so
thing.
good. That would have probably been a fun, kind of unexpected game to be at.
Yeah, I dig that. That was my wife game together. So.
Your wife what?
That was my wife and I's first game together.
Oh wow, really?
We just started dating at that point, and
oh wow,
I got tickets. I got tickets from work, and that was our first game together.
I would have also liked. That's probably the game at Lambeau that I would have liked. I would have liked to. It didn't turn out the way I quite wanted it to, but the Jeff Janis game. I love that the games have like the Jared Cook game and the Jeff Janis game and the whatever.
Jeff Janis.
Game, that's another game that I was like that was too much for me too, even just watching it on TV. And then I was like, like
yeah, that really the overtime where they couldn't tackle Larry Fitzgerald
immediately,
and you're just like, really, this is how it's gonna go.
That was a bummer.
Life as a Packers fan, sometimes I tell you. Last one here for you. If you woke up tomorrow and we talked about the Packers don't have owners or an owner. I see you are an owner, which I am as well. But if you woke up tomorrow and you were the person in charge of everything for the Packers, essentially the owner, right? Even though they don't have them, you can make any decisions you want, whether it's about the stadium, whatever. You could do anything you want. What is the first decision you are making as the owner of the Green Bay Packers with executive control over everything?
It's going to sound really boring, but I would say pass rush.
Just going all out on it.
Whatever that means. That means. Whoever that is. I don't know. Like, I want our line to look like the Eagles line. Like, come on. Like, I mean,
we can dream. We can dream.
I love, because I mean, I feel like everybody talks about, this wide receiver, in the first round kind of stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really feel like that. There isn't anything I would change as far as the stadium. And I mean, I love that is, preserved the way that it is. So I don't think there's anything like that way. But like right now in this particular moment, like I'm just a fan. I just love all of it. So like I'm kind of lame that way where I'm like, hey, just, beef up our defense. And I feel like that's kind of been a gripe for a long time, at least recently. So, I mean, I feel like the moves that were made, and I won't name any names, but the people that have left, I'm not too terribly troubled over.
Right. I'm with you there.
What would you do if you could do anything? Somebody has to ask you.
Yeah. So I think one I always default to is actually, I'm surprised the Packers did it. I'd be revoking more season tickets.
Oh, well, that's already done. Like I wouldn't have to say that, but
yeah, I wouldn't do 100%. I would do like if you're selling 60% of your tickets, you're
more than half
losing them.
Yeah,
because I calculated when I got my ticket thing in the mail. I think it was like if you signed up today at the same pace that I've been averaging since I joined the list in 2010. I got added to the list January of 2010. If you were to join today at that same pace, it takes like 191 years to get your tickets. Because my son, we added my son.
Yeah,
he was born.
So
we added him like right away. So
well, maybe when he turns 180, he'll be good enough that
I'm hoping with some of these fans getting their tickets revoked for consistent.
It kind of accelerates that. Yeah,
I'm hoping it accelerates it a bit.
Yeah, I would say that would be if I lived there and I had a stake in it that way. I absolutely would say that. And I only know what I know from hearing rumblings about it and the gold ticket people and that kind of stuff. So I know that I don't get to come to town when it's a gold ticket game. That I know. So we kind of that kind of dictates what games we come to. Like I just reach out to our friend and I'm like, you tell us what game is good and we will, so I mean, it's ideal that I can look at the schedule like and go, well, I knew my birthday's September 22nd. So like when we were playing the Broncos, I was like, we got to come to that game. If we don't stay at your house, we don't stay at your house. That's fine. But it was early enough in September that I kind of figured, and I think it was the first home game that year. Yeah, it was because Matt LaFleur's never opened at home. And it was like week 3 or week 2. I don't remember. It's September 22nd. So, I mean, it's a couple weeks into the season.
Pretty
so
early.
It was our first, I think it was might have been the home opener, might not. Anyways, but so I knew it wasn't probably because it's always like the 3rd and the 5th game or something, I think, or I know it changes a little bit, but something like that. So I knew that wouldn't impact that. But anyways, it wasn't until, that I kind of heard the rumblings of, and in the last couple of years, those games being taken over by.
Yeah, and it's not even just gold package. I mean, even green package, I've had some pretty terrible experiences. Not as bad as gold package. Gold package is brutal, but green package, because Packer tickets are in such hot demand, so many people just do it as a way to make money, and they're not doing it to be there to support their team. And I think it makes for a lesser product across the board.
Yeah.
You look back at like the 90s when the Packers became relevant again, and the stadium was just
rocking,
loud and rocking. And now you go to a game and you might get yelled at to sit down. And it could be a 3rd down and everyone's standing and yelling, and you get yelled at to sit down.
And I mean,
like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I try to be really mindful and like temper myself because I'm screaming like all game long. Like I'm not kidding when I say that the next day I've lost my voice and I can't talk. Like it happens to me every single time. And I get home from the game, I'm gargling salt water because I know that it's coming because I'm, not screaming like profanity. I mean, I am. Sometimes, I'm like, sometimes I am, but hold on to the ball. Like, I mean, I'm just like something comes out like but I try really hard to like turn around and see if the people behind me are standing up, and
it's a time and a place,
right? That way, but I'm like, I want to stand the entire time. Like I want to stand all.
I've been to some games where we stood the entire time, and it was phenomenal. Like
I have too.
So there's been great crowd experiences, and I've had some that are very lackluster, and I don't know. I think that would be mine. But I think that's an easy one to say.
I feel like that too. And I see when I heard when, just, what, a month ago or whatever, when this came out, I was like, I feel like, and I commented, I was listening to Wilde and Tausch one morning and they were talking about it. And so anyways, I feel like I'm involved when I, chime in and chat in the, whatever. And I don't know if anybody's going to read it or whatever. Well, anyways, they ended up doing that. And they were talking about the experience and how much it costs now for a family to come to a game at Lambeau, and I was like, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. Like the most expensive tickets that we've ever spent were that 49ers, the game against 49ers, the Monday night game. We were in the fourth row in like section 120s-ish, like, it was like 30-yard line. I'm very specific that it's between and it was our friend's 40th birthday. So when I was going to buy the tickets, I was like, how much, you tell me before I buy the tickets, how much, are you, willing to spend? And she's like, well, we don't care, but, let me know, how much it is. And so I'm like, we can be in the 4th row for $400 a piece. And she was like, what? And I was done. Those are ours. For sure, because we were staying at my friend's. Like, and this is another thing when people are like, "Wow, it must be nice to go to a game every year." But I'm like, "Well, we use points for our flight. We stay at our friend's house, so literally all that we're spending is on the tickets, right?" Yeah. But even that was our most expensive game. They were $400 a piece. We were in the 4th row. Every single game that we've been to, like, we've never spent more than $250. And I know that that's a lot. Like, a family of 4 to go to one game, right? That's a lot. We come once a year and we don't have all those other things to pay for, right? We're tailgating in the front yard at his house. I'm not buying other than maybe a beer. I have a strict rule. If I buy like one beer in the first half and maybe one in the second, so I don't want to overdo it.
Right.
And I don't want to have to go to the bathroom and like miss game. And I'm very specific that way. So anyways, I'm not spending a whole lot of money at the game. So because we don't pay for a place to stay and because we don't pay for our flights, I'm willing to spend a little bit more on the tickets. And when I say a little bit more, other than spending $400 on those tickets, we've never spent more than $250. And we're always in like the 20 somethingth row in sections 122 to 1, whatever.
Yeah.
Excellent seats. And so that's where I commented on that on Wilde and Tausch when they were talking about it. And I was like, I hate to play devil's advocate here, but nosebleeds in AT&T Stadium. Nosebleeds are at least $350, $400 a piece, where you're so far away and so high up, you have to watch the game on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can't see down onto the field. Like that playoff game that we were at, I'm watching the Jared Cook play and like that whole, I mean, we're watching it on the big,
that screen's so damn big too.
I don't know if you've seen it. You can't not look at it. Like you can't not. Like you can't not. My husband, well, we've been to, my husband works for Lexus and they have a suite there. And so we went one year when it was Cowboys and Broncos because they gave him the tickets and we were down. I mean, the suites are down pretty swanky, like further down below. You're still looking up because now you're almost like, you're still looking up just because it's so big that you're still. So anyways, I just had told them like, you know, it costs $350, $400 a piece for nosebleeds there. So I, for my experience, and you know, not that we just have a ton of money to spend on games, but we come once a year. We don't have all those other things to pay for. So, but I can understand if we were a family of 3 or 4 or whatever. No, that's not really that feasible to be able to go to. But I still feel like it pales in comparison
for
to
sure
almost any other stadium. Like
I would believe it. I would believe, and if you are here, you can look on Sunday to look.
Oh, I've heard that. I've heard that
they get dirt cheap because
that's what I've heard.
Offloading. Yeah,
I've heard that. I mean, most of our
when you and your husband move here one day, just know that you can.
I told him, I'm like, you are not going to see me. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what he's trying to. I'm like, you think that I'm unavailable like now? And you just wait. You just get me there. You just wait and see how it is.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode